Welcome to Tech Talk, a podcast featuring employees and leaders discussing all things tech at Mutual of Omaha. Join us to learn what tech professionals can gain from a career with us. Let's talk tech.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Tech Talk, a podcast sponsored by Mutual of Omaha. I am one of your co-hosts, Brian Poppy. I've been at Mutual of Omaha for 14 years and currently lead one of the business units. And I'm joined today with Mara Ramsey. Mara, how's it going today?
Hi, Brian. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing great today.
Good. So I hear that you finally had a chance to start that new jury duty show. What are your thoughts? Are you finding it pretty entertaining?
Oh my gosh. Yes, thank you for the recommendation. So jury duty's on Prime Video for those of you that are not familiar with it. And the setup is that there's one person who thinks they are a juror on an actual case, and everybody else in this scenario is a paid actor. And given my love for trash TV, this show has been amazing so far. I cannot wait to finish this season. There's just some of those actors are pretty chaotic, and I can't imagine like they're having to ad-lib everything along the way, right? Like they've got kind of a loose script of what they're trying to follow, but other than that,
there's quite a lot of improv.
Yeah, so much. It's amazing. Like, thank you for the recommendation.
I ended up reading into it because it was kind of interesting to learn about how they set it up, but you've got plenty of laughs in store. I embarrassingly can admit that I've probably watched it already about 2 times through. So it's lighthearted. It's good for the end of the day.
Yeah, so speaking of folks who know what they're doing, we've got Jamie Fichter joining us today. Jamie, how's it going?
Good. Things are good.
Well, welcome, Jamie. We're thrilled to have you as a guest on our podcast. So we want to learn a little bit more about you. I heard you started a new role. What is that role?
Yeah, I did start a new role. I've been at Mutual about 4 years now, and within that 4 years, this is the 3rd job that I've had. I started off as an enterprise architect in the enterprise architecture group back when I started with Mutual. I moved into a director of information services over this group that we called the Common Technology Platform, where we were enabling the public and private clouds for tech modernization activities, the big initiative that we have going on for application and technology modernization. I did that for about 3 years, and just recently, as you mentioned, I moved more into the application development space, so supporting one of the strategic business units in application development. It's a new role for me within Mutual, but something I've done similar things in the past.
That's great. I'm glad to hear there are more than just me taking advantage of the rotation here. So yeah. Glad to hear that you're doing that. And I don't think I can quite match the 3 roles in 4 years. So well done, Jamie.
Well, I worry sometimes that I have ADHD because I like to do different things. I like the change. Anyway, Mutual's good at that, to rotate people through different things and get different experience. I think it's a really good thing to have within the company.
Yeah, our longtime listeners and watchers of Tech Talk would hear that as a common theme. So I've heard you've got an employee that works for you named Joe Developer. You want to tell us about Joe?
Yeah. So I mentioned that when I was kicking off the Common Technology Platform, the public and private cloud enablement group, we had a ton of work in front of us. We had these tech modernization goals. We wanted to enable APIs. We wanted to enable Amazon Web Services, so on and so forth. And there's a ton of complexity underlying that statement. You have to have paved a lot of the road to make this happen for the organization. And we were struggling a bit with the messaging of what we were even trying to accomplish and getting alignment with that. So this story about Joe Developer and the MVP application, by the way, when I call her Joe Developer, it shows how I'm not very imaginative in naming things, apparently, because Joe Developer's not all that interesting. But
I just thought it was a really coincidental last name. But
yeah.
Now you're telling me she's not a real person?
We'll talk later, Brian. But the gist of the story is that Joe can think up an application, a small application, admittedly, but think it up in the morning and have enough tools and processes at her fingertips to get it rolling into production by that afternoon. So roughly in the story, it's about a 6-hour change that she does to get her application into production. As with most organizations of any size, that is a tall order. You have a lot of change management and other things that you have to get into place before you can make an application change like that. So we had a lot of path to pave to make that to be true. So the story goes through and talks about her journey through that day, about what she does, and what it actually helped to do was solidify the story within people's minds about what we were trying to accomplish. So really it's a persona-based development sort of activity where we use Joe as the persona. And since that point in time, it's been an interesting thing to watch that she has expanded beyond just the pure technical space. She's been interviewed for a TechMod newsletter. She has shown up in engineering assessments for evaluation of skill sets that you need. So if Joe needs these skill sets, these are the skill sets we need for our modernized engineers sort of mindset. And also, we even used the story as we further developed it into a journey map that we utilized to develop features for the group to create. So she started off as a story to explain things to people, but really turned into a guide for how we view modernized cloud-based activities. So it's been a great adoption of the story at Mutual.
So it sounds like Joe's story is quite the example of what we're looking for in candidates interested in applying for jobs at Mutual. What other skills or characteristics are you looking for in candidates interested in working in your space?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think when we look forward into the new world and the pace of change that we have in front of us in the technology space, that people that are going to be most successful have a couple of traits that come to mind. One of them is curiosity about, in general, everything. How do things work? Why is this thing happening the way that it is? How can I do things better and make it more efficient? When you have that mindset that you're going to get better over time, your application development activities are going to get better over time. So I think curiosity is a core skill set for an engineer. Also, I like to call this, my version of systems thinking is that the most valuable employees are people that understand that we're not just building applications for application's sake. We're building an application to enable the business. Maybe we need to make a payment on an insurance claim, or maybe we need to process an insurance application. Those are the business activities that we're enabling. We're not just coding to code things. It's not a science project, in other words. So having that context of what we're doing within the organization, that's my version of systems thinking. So those two things, curiosity and systems thinking, are two that come to mind that would be great things for employees to have.
So for those listeners out there that those characteristics kind of resonate with them, what advice do you have for applying at Mutual and going through that process?
I think that one thing is to portray the energy and the curiosity, once again, that you have for things, and ensuring that you ask questions. How does this work? Why do we do this way? I think that shows some analytical thinking that portrays your curiosity once again. So I think that's a good thing, is to just show how you're thinking about those things and ask those questions about how it fits in the world and what you're helping to enable. Also, I mentioned that the pace of change of technology, showing that you have the ability to learn new things. is a key skill set for the future. I think it may be the skill set for the future, especially in our space, is how do you adapt and adopt quickly to new things. The pace of change is not going to slow, as I mentioned, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's some great advice, and a good thing to end on. We're only going the one right? It's only getting faster from here.
Yes.
So thanks for joining us today, Jamie, and thank you all for watching. So on behalf of Maura, myself, and Mutual of Omaha, have a great day, everyone.